factors into stock valuations, and the willingness of investors to add value to their investments. I combine these three factors into the following definition. Long-term investors speculate on the value of corporations to society and the environment while simultaneously seeking to enhance that value at the company, industry, and societal levels. This differs from today's mainstream definition of the role of investors, which values their success only in the maximizing of relative stock returns. When the market is valued according to short-term measurement, that is stock prices, and when managers' performance is measured against these prices, long-term investing becomes impossible. In today's financial markets, investors are relegated to the role of price takers, not value makers.
We could choose differently, and that's not the only reason why there's some implication for corporate law, because some of that capital gain, that income from capital, comes from labor. I'm not the first person to note that the interest of capital and the interest of labor might conflict. So I have to disagree with Bob when he says that giving shareholders more authority and asking them to take more control of the firm is consistent with human flourishing and human welfare, because it could be absolutely inconsistent not only in the short term but in the long term as well. I think we could act differently. We could choose differently in terms of law, and we could have different laws. Let me mention a few. One is, I think, that we could do away with shareholder primacy and ask managers to take into account, as a matter of law, the interest of and concerns of all the stakeholders of the firm, not just shareholders. I think that could be put into effect in a number of different ways. You could impose upon them a fiduciary duty, enforceable in courts. You could also say to corporations that they have to have stakeholder boards. That's the norm in other countries. It is possible here, and I believe that we would see a real difference in how corporations are run. There are other changes in the law that we could see as well. Obviously, some of this has to be driven by the fact that we need to change the governing jurisdiction. Right now in the United States, the governing jurisdiction for corporate law is Delaware. It's crazy that we let a state that has 1/3 of 1% of the American population dictate the internal affairs rules of 60% of the Fortune 500 and even more of all the publicly traded companies. We don't let companies choose which state governs their environmental laws, their worker protection laws, their tax laws, their family protection policies. Why in the world would we let Delaware provide the corporate law of these jurisdictions when they have no other significant connections to Delaware? For example, Walmart, just to take one example, Walmart has 50% more employees than Delaware has citizens. Does Delaware have any incentive to change its law to be more protective of the employees of Walmart, to be more protective of the environment that is being soiled by Walmart facilities, to take into account social welfare? None at all.
We have to transform supply chains into value chains. And we have to bundle values within those chains. We need to align the values between producers, between buyers and traders, between brands and retailers and consumers. What is good for one has to be good for another, and also has to be good for the planet. Without that, if it's simply a competitive thing, it's a race to the bottom. When you buy coffee, buyers are looking for quality, they're looking for on-time delivery, they're looking for health and safety issues to be addressed, etc. But they're also, people engaged in selling coffee are making money. They're generating employment, they're paying taxes, they're delivering caffeine, which all of us appreciate. They're even delivering status in some cases. But they're also delivering, if it's done right, carbon sequestration, in the coffee plantations and in shade-grown coffee in particular. They're delivering climate mitigation. They're delivering watersheds that effectively act to collect and slowly release water over time. They're delivering birds and biodiversity. They're delivering pollination of the bees and the other insects that live there. These are the multiple values that each product can begin to deliver. But we're not looking at it that way yet. The future corporation is going to buy and sell multiple of these values. There is no question about it if they're going to survive, if we're going to survive, or if the planet is going to survive.